Welcome to Curtis' Hall 150th celebration. One of the great things about celebrating 150 years in comparison to us, don't we all feel young today? Before we can kick off this event, the one thing I would love to do is that I would like to ask Olga Dumont's great-great-grandchildren to come up and share with me as we sing the traditional birthday song. And I'd like you to join us too as well to kick this event off.
Right up here. Right up here. We have the picture.
So you guys ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Curtis Hall. Happy birthday to you. Once again, welcome to this celebration. Curtis Hall's 150th is a big milestone. I am Will Morales, and I am the Commissioner of Boston Centers of Youth and Families. And Curtis Hall is one out of the 30 community centers that make up our network. I am so happy to be here to celebrate this important building. Curtis Hall has played a pivotal role in many lives here in Jamaica Plain over the 150 years. Offering programs and activities that meet the needs of the community on a day in and day out basis. I'm sure that when Nelson Curtis donated this land, he donated knowing that a building will be erected for public good. Has it done its job? It has served its purpose. And so I hope that today's celebration becomes a celebration that knows no end, and that we continue to party for another 150 years all together. As part of today's celebration, we're also going to honor Olga Dumont, who worked here for over 40 years in various capacities, both as an employee and a volunteer. Kerry Costello, who is the chair of the Jamaica Plain Community Center Council, knew Olga well. In her role as council chair, Kerry leads the nonprofit board that works with our community center staff. Kerry's committed to make sure that the council does whatever it can do to support the families of Jamaica Plain. Please, let's welcome Kerry Costello.
Thank you, and I welcome you all here today. And no one person ever does the work of any group. So at this point, I would like to ask all the members of the JPCC Board of Directors who are present to come and join me at the podium, please. Not all the members could be here today, but I do want to introduce them to you. First we have June, who is our treasurer. No, I am sorry, clerk. Clerk, I apologize for that. June Leonard, board member. Craig Pierce, Stephen Hale.
And Kerry Costello.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kerry.
You're welcome. And Lisa, where are you, our treasurer? Lisa, could you just roll forward a bit so we can recognize you as a treasurer? And I will say this, Lisa as a treasurer keeps the purse strings tight and watches our money as if it were her own. And that is what you need with a treasurer, I have to say that. And so these are some of the individuals who serve as citizen volunteers here in Jamaica Plain, helping to make, we think, our neighborhood a better place to live. And I would draw your attention to the theme of our JPCC, which you will see on the calendar if you did take one. Hopefully you did, so you can remember us all year. But our theme here at Curtis Hall is education, recreation, information across the generations. And you will see that reflected in our program today. We started off with the Tiny Tots, Olga's great-great-grandchildren. We will be moving to some of our teenagers for the second act, and we will round out our program with the third act. Our seniors, who will be singing at the end of the program, which is certainly a fitting tribute to Olga, who spent so much of her time advocating for seniors and senior services in the city of Boston. And before I move to that, we have a custom in Jamaica Plain, JPCC, when we have our holiday party. We call up the board, and then we call up all the members of the family of JPCC, which are the staff who day in and day out help to deliver the program that the board sets in motion, not only through fundraising, but through our partnership with the city. I mean, this building belongs to the city. And if you read some of the history, you will find this building was donated to the city. It was once West Roxbury Town Hall. West Roxbury then became a part of the city. It then reverted to the city. And at one point in time, this room that you're standing in did not have the gym. It had a large stage with dressing rooms for plays, and we were quite renowned in the city of Boston for the Saturday night parties we threw here at Curtis Hall, the dancers. Some might say we were a little infamous in the day. So, and then when the building burned in 1906, not totally, is when the pool was added, and then many of the things you see here. But the library used to be on the first floor. We also had clinic here, and in the day of the cold water flats, people came here to Curtis Hall to take hot showers, as they did in many of the municipal buildings. So Curtis Hall has been a vibrant part of Jamaica Plain for 150 years, and I will attempt to say sesquicentennial. I will not attempt to spell it without looking at it, but there is such a word, in case you did not know that. So I am now going to ask the staff of Curtis Hall to come here and join the board members to be recognized. So please come up. Come on. Do not be shy. Come on, you younger folks, move. So I may not be 150, but I'm a lot older than you young folks who were just sashaying on up here. Olga would not have approved. So this is the Curtis Hall family. And I do also want to mention that we also have a site at the Hennigan. It is not the Hennigan's 150th birthday, but I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Hennigan is also part of Jamaica Plain Community Centers, as is our well-renowned, I would say, adult learning program, which is cited at English High School, and they are also a member of the JPCC family, and so I do want to recognize them as well. But today is about Curtis Hall. So at this juncture, I am going to be returning to speak about Olga a little bit later on the program. I'll be following the mayor, and the mayor is going to be following me. So remember that, Marty. I'll be having the last word at the end. But what I will say about that before I introduce the mayor, and I am going to ask everyone to stay just until the mayor joins us. What I will say about that is I go back to community centers to the time, almost not quite the inception, but Kevin White was the mayor, Larry Dwyer was the commissioner at the time. It's been over 35 years that I personally have been on the board of Jamaica Plain Community Centers. I live in the other part of JP that thinks they're in Brookline and West Roxbury up there by Moss Hill. You may know that neighborhood. But this is a labor of love for me, giving back to the community that gave me so much, and my brothers and sisters went to the Manning School, came here, learned to swim. Well, I didn't learn to swim in the pool, but I will say that, again, it has certainly been the heartbeat of this community in so many ways, and it is really my real pleasure to be able to join in partnership with the city as a nonprofit to provide the programming that we need here in the community. And if you have an idea for a program and we don't have it, and you come to us, we will do our best to try to have that done. So at this point in time, I would like to welcome the fourth mayor of the city of Boston I have worked with as community centers. As you know, we have long-standing mayors, so those 35 years we've had 4. And so at this point, I would like to welcome and certainly thank him for coming, the Mayor of Boston, Mayor Martin J. Walsh.
Thank you, Kerry. And I want to, I was talking to Kerry downstairs, and she told me that she was here for the groundbreaking 150 years ago. So she said it, not me. She said it. And I said she's done a good job with the building in 150 years. But let me just thank Kerry and the board for the great work that they do. I want to thank the incredible staff that's here. I want to thank Noel and the incredible staff of this center. I want to thank Will Morales as well, the commissioner of BCYF, for his great leadership here. When I walk in this gym, I thought about where I grew up. I grew up in Dorchester, down in St. Margaret's Parish, and we had what's called the Little House. And it was like this. It was a gym that, you know, we really didn't have any three-pointers because the wall was the three-pointers. But the place got so much use. Growing up, we had tiny tots in the back. I went there, and we had woodworking. We had food programs. We had adult education program. We had senior programs, and we spent our entire life in that gym and in that building. And it helped me and my generation of friends in a lot of ways because it kept us out of trouble. It kept us doing positive things, and a lot of us came back and volunteered there years later. And when the staff came up here today, I was thinking about, you can just tell that the leadership and the staff in this building love their job because they're all smiling and they're excited. That's not the way it is around the city or around in different organizations that we have. And I want to give a special shout out to the staff for the great work that they've done. As you know, and most people know what this building and the history of this building means. And those of you that don't understand what the history is, I just want to take a minute. It was the town hall for the town of West Roxbury before it joined the city of Boston. Matt O'Malley was here with us. I don't know where he'd be the city councilor, if he'd be in the town of West Roxbury or Jamaica Plain or wherever. But we'll let him figure that one out in a few minutes. But Kerry talked about going back to Kevin White. Can you imagine the conversations that were in here when they were talking about the town of West Roxbury and how we were going to go into the next phases? And I can't imagine. This community center and this building has offered access to books, to skills, to public health, to the immigrant for generations, the immigrants that come to this country, and even still today, the immigrants come to this country and come to this building. The families who built Boston. Today, it's a jewel of our Boston Center for Youth and Family Network, Curtis Hall. We see people of all ages coming in here, and every time that I come in here, I've come in here many times, and I've seen, where's the music class? Anybody in the music class? I know some people over here singing. You were singing. The adult education class, anyone in the adult education class? Over here, they're here, okay. Any young people play hoop on this court over the years? We have a couple hoop players here. That's what makes it so special. It's for people of all ages. And I want to thank you for supporting this incredible institution, supporting Boston Center for Youth and Families, supporting Curtis Hall, supporting our city. When I became the mayor 5 years ago, a couple of places that are special to my heart, one is our Parks and Recreation Department, because our parks are for everybody. And we've made investments. We've made record investments in the last 5 years in our park system. And part of that's because I was a coach, and part of that's because I was a state representative, and I saw that our parks not getting the attention they need and deserve. The second area that's close to my heart is Boston Center for Youth and Families, because it's an opportunity for us to really make sure that we have a place for our little ones that are 2 and for our seniors that are 102 and everyone in between. And it's important for us to make sure that we have places like this, because many times the people in our city don't have the ability to send their kids to camp, don't have the ability to pay large memberships, and don't have a place for our kids to go. And our centers are so important. So again, I want to thank everyone who supported this facility and all of our facilities for a long time. So thank you for that. Today, I'm honored to be here to help honor Olga Dumont, who passed away in May. I know her family's behind me, and some are family in front of me. And family doesn't mean by blood. Family means family in Boston. And people that still miss her. Today, we make her legacy permanent and permanently visible here in this community, in the space that she helped create as her community. What a life she lived. A political activist in Cuba, a community and labor activist here in the city of Boston, 32 years serving here at Curtis Hall under 3 different mayors, retiring as a senior service coordinator and volunteering for 7 more years. I never had the opportunity to get to know her, but I heard she used to call my predecessor, Mayor Menino, directly on the phone when she needed help. Her belief was that the mayor works for the people, not the other way around. And I agree with that. And I know that we would have gotten along great. And I'm proud to dedicate the Olga Dumont BCYF Curtis Hall Community Senior Center in her name. So she will always be remembered. And that her story and her legacy will be passed down through the generations. So again, I want to thank you all. I want to thank you for your great support. And I'm going to ask City Council Matt O'Malley to come on up here and say a couple words.
Thank you, Your Honor, and keep it going for our great mayor, Marty Walsh, everybody. You know, I will be brief, but I just really wanted to come out as we celebrate Curtis Hall, an amazing institution in our community. Thank Kerry Costello, thank everyone who is involved with JP Community Centers here at English at the Hennigan School, but this place is particularly special. And one of the things that I love most about Curtis Hall is you look around this room or you come in on any given day and it looks like Jamaica Plain. You have people who have lived here for been here for 5 generations and people who've been here for 5 weeks. You have people from all walks of life, from all socioeconomic backgrounds. You have people who are young, you have people who are older, you have people from all racial backgrounds, people who believe in all sizes, all shapes and sizes, and it's a remarkable thing. Curtis Hall represents the best of Jamaica Plain, which represents the best of our city of Boston. And I am so glad as we celebrate the sesquicentennial of 150 years of progress. Here's to 150 years more. Thank you very much. Happy birthday.
Okay, at this point, we're now going to call up the Let's Dance Black Flag Dance Crew, who practice here at Curtis Hall, and they have volunteered to be here today to entertain us, representing youth. Come on up.
Before they come up, if I could just say something, we're coming back. If you want to get up.
So I guess before we dance, I just want to say a small little bit.
Go for it. Go on, right there. Oh, you can give me the mic. Yeah, just give me that. We don't have to record this way. I mean, it's acting up, so we don't have to.
All right.
So all you got to do is hit play?
All we have to do is hit play, yeah. All right.
So you do what you got to do. Put it on the head, and then we just hit play. Oh, good.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say a few words before we started dancing, because we don't do what's typically like a normal, very well-known style of dance. So before I go into that, I just want to introduce ourselves. We are a Black Flag Dance Crew. We're a Boston-based dance crew. We dance here out of Curtis Hall. I've been a member of the Jamaica Plain Community Centers for probably, 20 years now, between Boston English High School and Curtis Hall. I've known Lynn Roy and the rest of the staff for many years. We've been back in Curtis Hall for about 2 years now. We dance right out of the room every Tuesday, so they invited us to be a part of this celebration. So like I said, we are a crump crew. I'm gonna ask anybody who's heard of crump, raise their hand. Oh, okay, all right, a little bit more surprised. Okay, we got some people back here, that's awesome. That's awesome, that's awesome. So crump, for the people who don't know it, started out in Southern California and it's made its way across the world. It can be perceived as a very aggressive form of dance. You might not understand what you're looking at, but it is very high energy and it's us expressing ourselves. If there's something that you see that scares you, scream. If there's something that you see that you enjoy, scream. Because either way, crump is a high energy dance and we feed off of that energy. So if you're quiet, we don't know if you like it or you hate it, but we can't really feed off of that. So if you love it, scream. If you hate it, scream. Without further ado, we're going ahead and get into it. Thanks, guys.
I don't think we would have seen that in West Roxbury for entertainment, so thank you so much. At this point, I'm going to ask Noel Torres to come up and join me. As you know, Noel is well, many of you know, is the coordinator here at Curtis Hall. We're each going to say just a few brief remarks about Olga, and then I'm going to ask the mayor to join me in welcoming the members of Olga's family, who, for the most part, I don't think, well, Matt is by extension, because he's from he's part of the neighborhood, but Olga's family has joined us here, I think 3 or 4 generations, if we've got great-grandchildren, I'm trying to do my math. And then her daughter is going to come up and deliver a few remarks to us as well. And then we will be ending up with our Jubilee singers at the end. And so, at this point, Noel?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming out. Thank you to my staff. Thank you to you all. And I got to know Olga. Lo quiero mucho a ella. Siempre me estaba apoyando a mí. Cuando yo empecé aquí, hace 10 años que yo estaba aquí, y siempre me estaba apoyando. Y siempre decía, quiero hablar contigo. Olga was very special to me. She knew my mother very well. She said, I got to talk to you. That's what I remember. God bless the family for being here. I'll be quiet because it's more important you hear from them.
And Olga, as you might have done the math, and yes, I know I look quite good for 150 years of age, but I had quite a lot of wisdom in those many decades. But some of it was from Olga herself. I was the chair of the board or have been now, not quite since Olga arrived here, but we knew each other quite well, and Marty was quite right when her philosophy was that the mayor works for the people, not the other way around. And she never hesitated, and I was with her on an occasion when she gave pieces of her mind to Kevin, Tommy, and Tommy. Although I will say, she always addressed them with their title, Mr. Mayor. She did not take liberties with that. She had that level of respect that she brought to everything that she did. But she was a fierce advocate for her seniors. And it used to make me wonder when I was not a senior myself, well, she was a senior. And she was advocating for all of the seniors. She never let go of that. And that does not mean the youth were not important to her and the teenagers. They were all welcome, but her constituency, her group were the seniors. And I do have to say, as a resident of Boston, Boston has done an awful lot for its senior citizens. A lot of cities don't. And I think sometimes we don't realize it. But that was in place, and that started under previous mayors. It continues today under Marty as well. But we still have to be vigilant. And again, that is why, in my mind, what the lessons I learned from Olga, although I did learn them from my mother, as she credited her parents, speak truth to power, always. Never step back. Never apologize for what it is you want to do, but do it in a civil, respectful manner. And Olga always talked about that, and you're going to see it in the plaque, and we call her daughter up with regards to that. And she always said, and I use that if you look at the program, and you'll see in the last paragraph, that she always spoke about that peace, charity, respect, all 4 corners of the world. Never turn your back on someone who needed your help, because it could have been you. And she also never forgot that each one of us stands on the shoulders of those who came before us. And we are not here alone. We are on a journey together. And so does that journey needs to encompass kindness, thoughtfulness, but always fighting for what you believed, especially for those who perhaps did not have what you were given. Because none of us came here, despite what some in DC may say, on our own. We're together. And we are not a commonwealth for no reason. There are only 2 other states that are commonwealths, and think of what that word means. In terms of the common good, it wasn't talking about economic or monetary prosperity. It was talking about the common good working together. And for me, that epitomized what I learned and knew from Olga and her great sense of humor, I might say. And so as I call up I'm going to call up her family, and her daughter, Butterfly, is going to speak to us. I am going to just leave us with this thought from an Irish poet, William Butler Yeats, and I'll paraphrase the end of a poem. He wrote this as a tribute to a rebel, an Irish rebel, who is now an old man. And so the poem talks about that. And then at the end, and I'm paraphrasing, he says, "Along life's journey, he was my friend. The honor was mine." So I'd like to call Olga's family up and her daughter. You can stand around. Come on up, folks.
I have a lot of family, so we're gonna let them relax, and I'm gonna just talk about my mom, because that's why we're here. So I wanna say, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have to read this because I get very emotional. As many of you know, my mom passed away May 30th, the very same day that she migrated to this country over 70 years ago. Although I'm extremely honored to be here accepting this dedication, renaming the Senior Center to the Olga Johnson Dumont 2 M's and 2 T's Senior Center, I wish she could be here. She would have been so grateful for the recognition for her labor. My mom faced several challenges on her way, but each one of them only strengthened her. They made her a thorough professional who knew exactly what she wanted, someone who set her eyes on a goal and did not lose sight of it until it was achieved. She was so passionate and sincere for the causes she supported, from getting the St. John's Episcopal Church to include bilingual services in the 50s, to organizing the United Club for Latin Americans, a venue for Spanish-speaking people to get together in the 60s, joining the board of the ABCD as well as APAC to increase services in a community that she felt desperately needed help. She personally funded short-term living arrangements at our home for refugees and helped them to find jobs, homes, services, and dignity. My mother pounded the pavement with me at her side during the redevelopment of the South End for the BRA, making sure that the people were treated fairly. She wanted to make sure everyone was relocated fairly. A few of her favorite recognitions were the proclamation of the Olga Dumont Days, both October 10th and 11th, Community Icon Award, an ambassador for the Boston Elders City at Large. Therefore, it is befitting that I conclude this dialogue by saying thank you, Mayor Walsh, and the Boston Center for Youth and Families. Thank you for this dedication. It would not have been possible without the inspiration she received from her seniors and her colleagues, for whom I have the deepest respect. Thank you all.
John, can we bother you? You're in the middle. Right next to me.
You see, we don't do this often.
way. This way.
Right in front of me.
Right down here. You gotta come this way. You guys gotta go back there. Because this is in the way. It'll be okay. There you go. That's better.
Big smiles, everyone.
Olga on 3.
No hiding behind. Stand up. Get in there. There you go. Hang on. Check.
Check.
Couple more, just make sure. Okay, I'm good.
Whose hand is that?
Me.
I'm gonna. The mic? No, the mic's here, but I gotta say something else. You get organized? I need to make one more comment.
Really quick, because I'm going to talk and support the part of that. I don't want them to leave. Go ahead.
No.
That's good.
Going to ask, we're getting ready. Our Jubilee singers are going to sing us out in a fitting tribute to Olga, so people can please stay seated. And then we will be adjourning down to the senior center for coffee and cake and a small reception.
I was trying to give you a shout out.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So, hold on. And just before, are they ready?
Yeah, right.
Nadia, I need you. So while they're getting set up, just a few more seconds, today we had a balloon. Is Matt O'Malley still here?
Yep.
Matt O'Malley, can you come up here for a moment? We had a balloon animal maker, I guess you would call it, all day here for the children. Matt was one of the sponsors of that, along with East Bank. So we have a small token for each of you from the balloon maker. And they have a symbolism to them. I debated about which one Marty should have, but I'm going to start with the mayor of the city of Boston always needs a whole lot of luck in terms of everything else they do, whether they're Irish or they're not. So this is for Marty.
Nice. Walsh.
And you'll see why I debated in a moment. This is a dollar sign. But I'm going to give this to Matt O'Malley so that the city council can lobby the mayor for more funds to community centers.
I thought you were going to give me the money too.
No, I debated. I told you I'd have the last one.
Matt will come back and get me.
Oh, that's what I meant.
We got it.
You're all set.
Thank you, Carrie.
And now our Jubilee singers.
Can you sing this note with me? Woo! Can you sing this note with me? Woo! This is JP Jubilee. We rehearsed here for 2 years while the library next door was being finished, and we're delighted to be part of the Curtis Hall family. And we got to sing for Olga at one of the senior parties here many years ago. Thank you. Here we go. We hope you will sing this next song for us. You may recognize it. It's Bésame Mucho. This land is your land. This land is my land. Please sing it with us. We're skipping the circle song. 1, 2, 3.